All right, let's dive into something truly incredible. We're talking about humanity's big return to deep space. You see, for the first time in over half a century, we are sending astronauts back to the moon. So let's break down exactly what this historic 10-day journey looks like.
Now, this isn't just another launch, not by a long shot. Artemis 2 is the very first crewed mission to head for the moon since Apollo 17, all the way back in 1972. Think about that for a second. This is the start of a whole new era of exploration.
So, what's the game plan? How is this amazing 10-day trip actually going to go down? We're going to walk through this mission step by step, from the fiery liftoff all the way to that final splashdown back here on Earth.
Okay, first things first. Before we can go to the moon, we need to know who's going and what they're flying in. Let's meet the pioneers and the incredible machines built to take them there. Here they are, the international crew of Artemis 2. You've got Commander Reed Wiseman and pilot Victor Glover from NASA. Then there's mission specialist Christina Cook, who already holds the record for the longest single spaceflight by a woman, which is just amazing. And making history, we have Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency, who's going to be the first non-American ever to fly to the moon. And the ride they're taking? Well, it's a huge leap from what the Apollo astronauts had. The Orion capsule is a serious upgrade. It fits 4 people instead of 3, and it has about 50% more room to live and work in. And, you gotta love this, it has the first ever toilet designed for deep space. That is a massive quality of life improvement for any long trip.
Getting them there is the Space Launch System, or SLS, and this thing is an absolute beast. It's the most powerful rocket NASA has ever built, generating even more thrust than the legendary Saturn V. Now, you might look at those numbers and think, wait, Saturn V could send more weight to the moon? And you'd be right, but the SLS is designed differently. It's built to launch the entire Orion crew and its service module on a direct shot to the moon, all in one go.
So we've met the crew, we've seen the hardware, now for the action. The mission really kicks into high gear in the first 24 hours. This part is incredibly complex and absolutely critical to get right. That first day is just jam-packed. After a thunderous launch, they'll settle into a high orbit around Earth. Then it's all about checking out the spacecraft, making sure life support is good, even practicing flying the capsule by hand. They'll also do this cool Proxops demo, basically flying Orion around the leftover rocket stage to make sure it handles well. And this all leads up to the big one, the trans-lunar injection.
This trans-lunar injection, or TLI, is the moment of truth. It's the point of no return. This engine burn literally pushes Orion out of Earth's orbit and flings it toward the moon. It's set on what's called a free return trajectory, which means that even if something went wrong, the moon's gravity would naturally pull them back towards Earth. But once that burn is done, they are committed. They're going to the moon.
And you know, even when you're making history in deep space, sometimes you just have to deal with plumbing. The toilet actually had a little hiccup early in the mission, but Mission Control talked them through a fix. And Houston radioed up this slightly funny but very practical piece of advice for the crew. So they've punched their ticket to the moon. For the next few days, the crew just coasts through space, and the anticipation builds for the main event of this entire incredible mission. The trip out is just this steady march of milestones. On day 2, they do that make-or-break TLI burn. By day 4, they're pushing farther into space than any person has ever gone before. On day 5, the moon's gravity takes over as the main force pulling on them. And then, finally, day 6. That's when they get their closest look. And yeah, day 4 is when they officially make history. The crew will fly farther from Earth than any human in history, breaking the record set by the Apollo 13 crew almost 55 years ago. We're talking over 400,000 kilometers from home. That's just mind-bogglingly far. The flyby itself is a super carefully planned 3-hour operation. From thousands of miles up, the crew is essentially an advanced scouting party. They'll be taking photos, studying specific landmarks. All of the data they gather is absolutely vital for figuring out where future missions, like the Artemis 3 landing, are going to touch down.
But once that lunar flyby is in the rearview mirror, the mission is far from over. The trip home is another super critical phase, and it's all about testing this spacecraft and its crew to the absolute limit.
Yeah, the trip back is packed with more experiments. The crew's gonna practice radiation shielding procedures, do more manual flying tests, and they'll even check in with the astronauts on the International Space Station. Every one of these tests is designed to prove that Orion is tough enough and reliable enough for even longer missions into deep space.
And then comes the final hour. This is pure drama, a high-stakes dance of physics and engineering. First, they ditch the service module, leaving the crew capsule to come home alone. Then they hit the atmosphere, and that heat shield will have to withstand temperatures half as hot as the surface of the sun. Finally, a series of parachutes bloom open, slowing them down for a gentle splashdown in the Pacific Ocean.
A successful splashdown, well, that's the ultimate goal. It's the final proof in the pudding. It proves that this new generation of hardware, the SLS rocket and the Orion capsule, is ready to go. It shows without a doubt that we can once again safely fly people on a round trip to the moon and even beyond.
So Artemis 2 is the mission that proves the car works, right? It shows we have a safe and reliable ride to deep space. But that success really just opens up a whole new set of questions. Now that we have the transportation, what are the next huge challenges we need to solve? The landers, the habitats, the new spacesuits, before we can actually walk on the moon again and then eventually take our first steps on Mars.